Today's chart is going to be based on one from a 1997 class. I actually took a picture of it and I posted it once. And I remember one of our members saying that it was not legible. So my writing won't be legible either, unfortunately. But hopefully, as we talk through it, it'll become clear and I'll just write as neat as I can. Like I said before, every chart's a little bit different, and I have probably five or six versions, and so it's just a way to express, the course's message and a way to remind ourselves of the overall message rather than just focusing on a particular passage or special relationships or forgiveness. So I like running through the chart first. I consider it old school. And today, after go through the chart, I'm going to talk about what the world conceals. So I'm going to pull up the whiteboard. Hopefully, I'll get better at this. Okay. So first, as always, we have God and Christ, which constitute the oneness. And again, I'm following a chart that was from a 1997 class when Ken was writing it in real time as he spoke through it. And then we have oneness and mind. His is virtually unreadable, and mine is not much better. So, into eternity, where all is one, there crept a tiny mad idea, at which the Son of God remembered not to laugh. This line represents the tiny mad idea. And it's an idea of separation. He's got here separate and different. Okay. And that represents the split mind, giving rise to the next split, which is the ego or the wrong mind. Let me try to fix that. Oh boy, I'm a terrible W writer, even aside from a whiteboard. My arm's at a really weird angle, so that just makes it more difficult. But I'm going to soldier on because I want to. And the right mind, which is the Holy Spirit. I'm tracking the picture completely. Um, so, of course, you don't have an ego and Holy Spirit without a decision maker. And this dot represents the decision maker. So over in the egos box, we have individuality. Darkness. And of course, sin, guilt, and fear. So the expression of that sin, guilt, and fear within, he did actually a dotted line there, was splitting it off within the mind so that we um, become the fear victim, the victim who's fearful, and God becomes the sinful victimizer. So this is God, and this is the Son of God. Individuality here equals sin. So A minus C equals B. We are, you always denoted this as A, B, and C. And of course, everyone in the world identifies as B. Um, Joke at the foundation that if we wrote the story of our lives, it would be called The Adventures of a Bee. Um, so over here, we have the gentle smile and atonement equals the reflection of truth and light instead of darkness. So what we did was, I'm going to put this over here, E minus C equals B. What we did was the decision maker, Son of God, chose the ego, became terrified at what we believe we accomplished, and um, the terror of the God who is going to come, an angry God pursuing his guilty son, becoming terrified of obliteration and punishment, seemingly left the mind to hide in a world. The world, so we have the mind, here we have the body. I gotta fix that. And in this world, we are mindless. We have no memory, we have a mind, we have no memory of a choice we made, no memory of the truth. Once there's consciousness and a split from the truth, um, we don't remember what we split off from. So we don't remember being a decision maker. We don't remember choosing the ego. We don't remember projecting out what was inside, seemingly outside of the mind. Um, and the world we live in reflects um, the contents of the mind. Ideas don't leave their source. So in this world, we have the split too, which is A, B, C, different. We have to establish difference so we can project out what we don't like onto something else that is not ourselves. So over here, what he has in his chart is our victimizer becomes Jesus. What else does he have here? Oh boy, he really did make it hard to read. He's got our parents. He's got nightmare. A. We are afraid. Accordingly, so when we identify with the ego, we project out the world, things are hopeless. We live in a world in which nothing will work. If we follow any path to its conclusion, um, it ends in death, deterioration, loss, suffering. So this is hopelessness. So into that completely closed situation, um, we find our course. And the course teaches us there is a ladder home. Again, I'm trying to completely copy what's in this. Um, so here we see still seem to be separate, but the focus is on sameness, makes us the same. And over here we have Jesus, the ACIM, the Holy Spirit. Okay. And we climb and the gentle smile. Climbing the ladder home is a process of withdrawing our projections. We can't withdraw a projection if we don't know that we're projecting. So the more we cling to the world in which we seem to live, and we cling to our grievances and judgments, um, that is purposeful so that we don't withdraw our projections. We don't see what is within us. Um, So it's not really what anybody does over here in the world. It's not what all these C's seem to be doing. We need them to maintain the dream because we're resistant to wake up. Part of that resistance is what you deny within yourself, you must project, and you fear what you deny within yourself. You no longer know it, and you no longer know yourself. So there's layers of fear. Um, but the cause will never be something outside of us. The cause is in the mind. Purpose is in the mind. And in the mind, just as in the world, when we choose the ego, it's one or the other. Okay, at the top of the ladder, when we follow Jesus and we take his hand, we withdraw our projections, we're willing to look within with him and see that our terrors were nothing, that the world was never a cause, and we choose the light within us, ultimately we reach the real world. And the real world is the world we're living in, healed. So that is healed perception. We no longer see, we no longer experience a world that is outside of us, and we are the pure reflection of the reflection of truth. So the Holy Spirit's the reflection of truth that represents the real world, and that reflection is only an experience. It is nothing in form. What is um, what is in here does not change. It doesn't look different. It can't look different. It's just expressions of the idea of separation given form. But what we do to breathe life into it is identify with it. And by identifying with it, we set in motion um, uh, the defenses to maintain it. So what I want to talk about is what this world conceals. What does this conceal? In the Course, he says, every dream serves only to conceal the self which is God's only Son. So the world is an effort to not know ourselves and to seek outside of ourselves for what will make us whole. So when he says you must look upon your illusions and not keep them hidden because they do not rest on their own foundation, he's talking about what we're concealing to make them seem uh, powerful and real to us. So that's what the Course does. It questions the foundation of our belief system. We're really basing it on what we've been taught, not just what we've been taught by what seems to be outside of us, but our senses. Our all of our senses prove the reality of the world to us. And so in the Course, he has to counter that by saying, you have sightless holes for eyes, you don't have hands, you don't have feet that are walking a path. This is not you. You are not that body. And so what we relied on to prove the truth to us is open to question. And so the first one would be that we're innocent. We're born into the world kind of innocent victims from the get-go. It's not just that I'm a body in a world and that's my reality. I have to be the innocent body in the world. And so we come into the world with our face of innocence already perfected, and we hang on to it throughout our lives. In raising the face of innocence to the question, which teaches us, I am the thing you made of me. I am innocent. And anything I do that is harmful to anyone or would seem cruel or attacking or judging is because of what you did to me first. And he says in the Course, do not believe in cruelty, nor let attack conceal the truth from you. So what do we really determine is cruel or attacking? It's always something the body seems to do. And he's saying you're a mind and not a body. So everything has to be open to question. And what is concealed behind the face of innocence is the face of the murderer. In our minds, we believe we murdered God. And in this world, we take that what we are here, what an ego is in the world, is still, because ideas don't leave their source, identical to what projected it out. The guilt and the sin of wanting to kill off the Christ within us. And every time we see a brother as a body, we are killing off the Christ within us. He says, in your suffering of any kind, you see your own concealed desire to kill. And so, uh, everyone's suffering all the time in this world. There is some level of suffering, whether you stub your toe or whether you have an arm cut off. There is suffering nonstop. And we're all always aware of the fact that even if we don't seem to be suffering in a given moment, we don't experience perfect peace. We don't experience perfect comfort because safety has no meaning in this world because we don't seem to control, we don't control at all the images that seem to pass before our eyes. Um, so we have to look upon what has been concealed. We have to be willing to say, maybe things are not the way I set them up. I set them up so I'm innocent. I set them up so there's guilt outside of me. And what if that's not true? And so we begin withdrawing the judgments that we made and reevaluating what we've condemned and seen as different and responsible and cause of the way we feel. And the Holy Spirit is the correction for what we've concealed. The Holy Spirit is the perfect teacher because he uses what we do understand to teach us that it's not understandable, that we have made a world that does not make any sense logically and rationally, unless God be cruel. So we must look upon our illusions and not keep them hidden. They don't rest on their own foundation. And he says, in concealment, they appear to rest on their own foundation. So that's the fundamental illusion on which the others rest. Beneath them and concealed as long as they're hidden is the loving mind that thought it made them in anger. And the pain in this mind is so apparent when it is uncovered, its need for healing cannot be denied. So, all of the tricks we play, all of the efforts to avoid responsibility for what seems to be happening, for what seems to be our state, we look outside um, and then decide what everything means. Um, Beneath all that, there is the pain of self-betrayal, and that is the only pain. As he said, every dream serves to conceal the self which is God's only son, the self we don't want to know. And so we cling to what seems to hurt us until we make another choice. And the course represents the other choice, represents um, looking beneath the cover, looking beneath what seems to be a wall. The world appears as just a wall in which we have no control and gave birth to us. So we seem to be birthed by the dream. When we withdraw our projections, we see that the body's in the mind is not in the body. And when we question the causes, uh, we're willing to look upon that murderer, that dark cornerstone in our own minds, which was concealed by the face of innocence. When we look beneath the face of innocence, we see the murderer. When we look beneath the murderer, we see the terror of what we've denied because we no longer know it. We have forgotten what we really are and can only be terrified. And beneath that is the deep and burning love we have for God and the desire to return home. And following Jesus's path, recognizing in every grievance and judgment um, a projection of what is in the mind, then we can begin to go up the ladder. And when we see the world as an effect and not a cause, we can take our eyes off it. It is not compelling. It is literally the same story over and over and over again in the world. Ken used to say, yeah, peace was too boring for us. But really, everything kind of being the same thing over here in this world, coming into the same circumstances, everything failing us one by one, marching to our doom. Um, that can get pretty boring too. So we look at what we've concealed. We can't we can't look at what's concealed without Jesus, because all of our defenses are set up to protect what we've made of ourselves, what we've made of each other, what we made of God. So taking Jesus's hand marks the turning point where we're willing to um, retrace our steps. How did we get here? Not the story that we're told, that we told ourselves. When we're willing to retrace our steps, that would be called the miracle. The miracle does nothing but remind the mind that what it sees is false. What Verse does so brilliantly is show how everything in the world that we made is murderous. And we exist on the carcass of love and truth and God, and they seem to be absent here. But we're here, and um, when we retrace our steps, we can look at that without terror. We can look on utter madness without terror, retracing our steps, because we can't retrace our steps without Jesus. If we think we're doing it without Jesus or the Holy Spirit or the truth in us, if we think we're doing that, we're doing it with our ego, and it will increase the fear and strengthen defenses rather than be beatific. So we can know what we chose by the result. If we're not at peace, if we don't feel a certainty of where we're going, we're walking alone, which is walking with the ego. Because the ego teaches us that, it's basically us against the world, one or the other. It's all out to get us. It wants us dead, but it's the ego voice that we identify with and that we listen to that really um, is against our peace of mind and will only really um, teach, encourage us to look outside of ourselves for what will make us complete and whole within, and it will always fail. Failure in the world initially can be very painful to hear, even though it's apparent to a casual observer that everything fails in the world. It's just whether or not it can carve out, little pieces of peace and little spaces in which the world can seem not terrible. If we're upholding each other's ego sufficiently, then we're rendered temporarily less predatory. There's some great lines in the course about um, self-esteem for the ego is anything that renders us temporarily less predatory. Perfect. The whole range of the ego is suspicion or viciousness. And that is what we are until we choose again. But it's also what everything will always seem to be. It will always seem to be in the world that the world is a world of separation, that it represents the tiny mad idea made real and giving living form down here. And that is what life is. It's not going to seem different than that. That's why magic is it's so silly to pull something out of this little world and call it magic because the whole thing is magic. If you're being told you don't have any eyes, if you're being told in your suffering of any kind, you see your own concealed desire to kill, those are the lines we should be thinking about. Those are the lines that need to walk with us, with holding Jesus's hand. So we don't get sucked in. We don't get sucked into this world and take a step in the descent to hell and not recognize the rest for what they are. If we can keep in mind this world has nothing valuable to offer us, there is no single second the world has something valuable to offer us. The diamonds are tears, the rubies are blood. That is an essential piece to really start moving up the ladder. The course is motivational because it describes the world in stark terms. We are all letting our specialness direct our way and shoving each other off of precipices. Whatever we're getting rid of, we're killing off, no matter what it is, no matter what it seems to be. We kill off parts of ourselves all the time. So we have basically the choice between the miracle and murder. And when we try to call this whole thing something other than murder, that's when we really need help. That's when we're not even recognizing our own guilt of self-betrayal. We see the doom outside of ourselves instead of within. But in that terrible moment when we see it within, we are not alone. We can't really look on it unless we're looking on it with the truth in us, because it is the acknowledgement of the truth in us is seeing that this is not real. This is real. That will lead us home. And actually, the miracle reminds the mind um, that what it sees is false. But while our hopes and dreams and passions and investment is over here, we're really going to be going through the motions. And maybe we'll say nice stuff like, oh, all is one. It's truth and it's love, but it will have no meaning. It has no meaning in a world of form. It doesn't have an expression in form. If it had an expression in form that was real, that would give credence and reality to illusions. All illusions are false. There's no hierarchy of illusions. Our resistance to that, I was going to say any resistance, we're all resistant to that. Of course, we see a hierarchy of illusions. Of course, there's things we want here and things we don't want at all. There's things we're terrified of here and things we embrace. So, yes, we all seem to have a hierarchy of illusions. That hierarchy doesn't have to be a bar to asking Jesus for help and acknowledging when we're caught up over here, which is almost all the time or all the time, acknowledging what's happening. I'm too afraid to take Jesus's hand. I'm not going to pretend something else is happening other than I am too afraid to take Jesus's hand. I may be denying the truth, but I don't have to deny the truth. Haha. um, so it's really, we want to be honest with ourselves. We want to allow the Course to motivate us by showing us, again, what is just patently obvious. There's no value in a dream world of illusion. Um, just let our eyes be open to that and opened to the cause and effect, um, that the world is an effect and can never be a cause. Nothing outside of me has ever caused me to be unhappy or happy or in comfort because there's nothing outside of us. That's the bottom line. All of this, oops, whoa, all of this is happening at the level of the mind. There is nothing outside of the mind. God, Christ, oneness is all in all. There is no time, place, or state where God is absent. So what is concealed by layers of defenses. Here, it's concealed that I have a mind. It's concealed that that mind, in the dark cornerstone of that mind, is a murderer. And what that conceals is the deep and burning love for God, the fear of God, and we we just climb the ladder by acknowledging and recognizing the truth in what Jesus is teaching us. I had grabbed a quote I was going to use as kind of like to wrap this up. I mean, there's so much to say. I really didn't even go so much into the truth that the process of projection where you take what you don't like inside of you and deny it and see it in something outside of you doesn't work. That it is not a solution. There is no solution over here that will ever work. The thing to do is go above the battleground where you can look back on it with Jesus and see it for what it is. It is a place where we can't win. Just even being given or looking at that and saying, oh, I don't have to try to win a game that can't be won anymore. Because that's what I thought I had to do. I thought I had to spend all my time trying to establish something here, some version of safety for myself, psychological, physical, whatever. Um, this keeps us so busy. But this will never be where the problem is, and it's not the place to look. And we can't see that the battleground is up here until we look for with Jesus and be reminded we have a mind. We are not mindless puppets just acting out a script. Oh, well, I think because I can't really find that I wanted to use, I'm just going to say one of my favorite ones. But in closing, Uh, let's not dwell on form of any kind and allow Jesus to show us that they're just representations of thoughts of misery and death and obscure what it is we really want. We want the truth in us. We want to go home. We're not at home here. So I'm just going to quote from chapter 28. Jesus tells us, "Be not afraid, my child, but let your world be gently lit by miracles." And that is my hope for us. So this is really a mess. So I'm going to post the picture I based this on just to make myself feel better. Thanks for listening.